Welcome to another week of Candid Moments with myself, Sapphire. This week, our topic is about there's no place like home. Every Friday, I share at 12 p.m. a recording of moments in my life that I feel that is important to share and see how I navigated it. This week, I'm sharing about there's no place like home. A lot of people have reached out and said, well, where did you start your journey from? So this week, I'm going to take you through a whistle-stop tour of different properties I lived in and where I actually lived and where I'm heading to, so that you can see that I wasn't born with that silver spoon and I wasn't born with that golden halo. I started from very young and very small in my humble beginnings. So this is a pictorial presentation where I show you where I started from. And if you recognize any of these places, feel free to hit up in the chat and say, I remember that place, or I lived near there. I'd love to hear from you. So let's go. So the first place I started out my property journey is Kingsmead Estate. And this was an estate in Hackney. I went to school in Hackney. I went to school in Gainsborough. And I went to a primary school called Kingsmead Primary School, even infant school. But I lived on this estate with my family until I was around about 11, and then I moved from there. It wasn't a very nice estate either. I believe that they sent people there, as you can see what it looks like. I lived at the front of the estate facing the park, but it wasn't really a nice estate to live on. Now, I never really quite liked estates, and I still don't like estates either, but it was somewhere where we called home. So what do you define as home? So this is what my first home looked like. It was on Kingsmead Estate. Then I was sent to a children's home, and I went to a children's home on Casenoff Road, Stoke Newton. I'm sure many of you know where Stoke Newton is. But I was sent there from the age of 11, and I was put into a children's home and remained there until I fell pregnant and had to leave that home. And this was on Casenoff Road. Then I got my first ever flat, and this was on Coopersall Road in Hackney. It was my first flat. It's to the right of, left of the screen at the top. It was a 2-bedroom place where I shared that with my daughters, my 2 daughters at first. We had a little back garden, communal garden at the back, was divided into 4, but it was a nice little block, and it was a nice little starter home. I got that flat in when I was a teenager, and only reason why I got it because I had my child, and they wanted to know whether I was going to be responsible in raising my children, as well as paying the bills and everything. It was a quaint flat. Again, I lived in a flat. I moved from Kingsmead and moved into another flat. But this was where I landed with 2 of my children. This was another house. Now I swapped out that flat I had previously showed you in the slide, and I swapped it for this one. It was another 2-bedroom masonette place. It was in Barking. But this move was really the strategic move I needed for my life. When I moved from Coopersall, I left a bad relationship and needed a fresh start. And I wasn't trying to run away from my problems. I just needed a fresh start, not only for me, for my daughters as well. And coming to Barking, as much as when we landed, it was a racist place at the time. So we had a lot of problems on that front, but it turned out to be one of the best things. I was able to go to college and start learning different things, and really felt that that's where it started to ground me into the woman and shape me into the woman that I am today. At this address as well, I was proposed to, got married, and then left that address later on with my ex-husband, and moved myself and my children over to this address. And this was in Manor Park, 6th Avenue. It was a beautiful 4-bedroom house. It was absolutely lovely. And when I first got this house, I really realized how I wanted to live, what I wanted. I loved Victorian properties. And I knew then that's what I wanted. I wanted to live in a house where I had space, my kids could grow, and it was really good. But at this address, there was so much problems going on in my personal life. This is where I got left my husband, got divorced. And this is when, if you've listened to my journey, it was at this house in 6th Avenue where I had to go to an estate agent and ask him to house us, fleeing a domestic violence relationship from my husband. So as much as it was the house that I loved, it was the house that I had to leave. And this was in 6th Avenue. I then landed in this property, and this was what the estate agents moved me to. And this was Albert Square in Stratford. It was another lovely place. It was another 4-bedroom place, and it was really nice. We settled in. I started to go to college, and then I went on to university. The kids were going to school, and we all felt settled. Well, one thing I realized, that I had to be settled by myself. I could no longer be with someone that was going to disrupt my household again. So I had to start my journey here. This is where I got my first commercial building and renovated my first business, Sunrise to Sunset. And I was based in Stratford, East London. Beautiful shop. I had a commercial building with a flat above. I was renting out the flat as a 1-bedroom unit. And this is where I moved myself from this house and continued my journey. I still had my commercial shop when the council housed me in this property. And this was in Hainway, East Ham. So that was a private residential, but because of all the problems that I had with my ex, this was the council property that the council gave me. And when I lived there for a while, I've since bought that property, council property, and I now rent that property out. But as you can see how my journey has progressed over the years, I've always lived in different types of houses. And then I lived in this house in Enfield, Empire Avenue, where it's a semi-detached, and I lived there for a while as well. And then I moved again. I wasn't settled there either, and I moved again. I rent out all my properties. I never sell them. I always, if I live in them, I do rent them out afterwards as well. And this is where the home is. I'm in Kent at the moment, and this is where I reside. I love living in Victorian buildings and old houses, and I buy several properties around that kind of scope as well. So I moved to Kent, I got a house, I bought the house, and then I'm buying other houses as well. And I'm moving from house to house because that's what I want. But I'm landing in here. Now, my dream, if anyone knows me, and I've talked about it copious times, my dream is to build my own property. And this dream house would look similar to this. This is an artist drawing, and this is what I call my retirement home. And I'll be looking to build this in 2024. So not long now, but this is what I say. When you're looking at your journey, reflect back where you started from, the moves you've made over time, where you've landed, and what has it shown you about yourself? Have you grown through your journey? Show me some pictures of houses that you've lived in or flats you've lived in, and tell me whether it's helped you on your journey or not. I'd love to hear your comments. And if you feel that you want to reach out, tune in next week where we look at retire, renew, and reinvent. Remember, you can reach out to us via email at info@savvywomen.co.uk. And if you want to book a 45-minute free consultation with myself, you can do this on savvywomen.co.uk. You can also reach out to us or comment on 50 Savvy Women on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your thoughts and love to know where you used to live and what houses you like and what you want to build as your dream home. Because it's always wise to dream big and make that dream become a reality. So tune in next week.